He is no longer a Buck.
The game was saved by Tom Brady. The defending champs needing every second to beat the New York Jets. But of course, we start with the exit by Antonio Brown. In the middle of a play, shirt off, skipping out of the stadium. And the way the team has handled it from the start, that's where all eyes are. Arians' initial shutdown of it, as we just heard. The initial wonderings if it could be about contract stipulations, which is maybe proven false. Brady asking for compassion for Brown, which has you thinking another way. Pat McAfee today reporting that Brown was frustrated he wasn't getting respect from the team through his COVID suspension. Ian Rappaport reporting Brown has been playing through an ankle injury, didn't think he should be playing, though Arians disputes that today. You know how the expression goes, there's three sides to every story? Well, this one's got 4 or 5, maybe none of the truth. Maybe you're all part of the truth. Sarah Spain, around the horn to you. What was that? And do you need to hear more from Brown and Arians?
Yeah, I don't know what we'll hear from Brown, but Arians for sure, because this is a guy who has multiple times sort of gone against his word. We're never going to sign him. All right, we're going to sign him, but if there's a strike, he's out. Okay, there was a strike, but we changed our mind. I don't want to talk about it. I don't care what people think about it. And now it's just he's no longer a Buck with not a lot of explanation beyond that. I think it's important for us to know exactly what went down and how Antonio Brown came to the decision to race off the field. I don't think we should immediately chastise people whose response was very human to this. It was ridiculous. It was wild. It was bizarre. It's something we've never seen before. And then after that initial reaction, I think we can ask the questions, understanding that none of us are doctors, about what's going on with Antonio Brown. This is a pattern of self-destructive behavior. And when it was able to be harnessed enough to have him help a football team, plenty of people were willing to make excuses for that behavior. Plenty of people were willing to see how he might be able to help their football team and enable him to keep signing those contracts and showing up. But now that he can't anymore, what are people actually saying about all these behaviors? And is he going to get help for it? That's what matters.
Kimberly A. Martin, what did you see yesterday on the field? And then do you need to hear more from Brown and Arians?
Well, we've never seen anything like that, except why are any of us surprised? Think about it. My favorite quote is actually from Maya Angelou. When people show you who they are, just believe them. And Antonio Brown's entire career, and just looking back to the last 3.5 years, he's shown us who he is. I understand the question of mental health. We don't know what's wrong. We don't know what's wrong with him, but the Steelers, the reason he's not a Steeler isn't because of mental health issues it's because they didn't think he could play anymore. That's why he's not on the Steelers. Everybody is complicit, from the Steelers to the Patriots to the Raiders to the Bucks to Bruce Arians to Tom Brady. All these people who were not concerned about mental health until he's no longer on the team and saying, oh, he should get help. We wish him the best. Everybody be patient. In the NFL, we don't need to hear anything from Bruce Arians because Bruce has said everything he needs to say based on his actions. Antonio Brown could help us on the field until Antonio Brown decided he didn't want to play anymore, or there was an issue with the injury or confusion over that. That's my issue with all of this. All these people are complicit.
So you don't think it even matters if there was an injury to the ankle, or if there was about contract stipulation, or if it was about his frustration after the COVID suspension that the team didn't have his back? George Sedano, do you need to hear more here?
I don't know, Tony, to be frank with you. I think I'm with Kimberly on this. I don't need to hear anything else from Bruce Arians. If anything, maybe I need to hear from Antonio Brown to get it from him, not verified through another reporter or another former player or talk show host or whomever. Maybe I'd like to hear him tell us his side of the story. But ultimately, what it boils down to is this, is that Antonio Brown's incredible talent was eventually usurped by his behavior, both on and off the field. And the facts are this, is multiple times this has happened with different organizations, and the ending has been the same. I, too, am not a doctor like Sarah. I've never even met Antonio Brown, so I'm not going to sit here and pass judgment. I am also, though, a little uneasy, Tony, about criticizing the people within the organization because we don't know who in that locker room or who in that organization perhaps did try to extend an olive branch to him to try to help him at some point in his career or his tenure at a given place.
Tim Kalishaw.
You know, if we thought Terrell Owens' behavior was at times a test for Hall of Fame voters, Antonio Brown is going to be the real test because he was the best receiver in the NFL for a number of years running. As far as hearing more, I would say ever since Hard Knocks, about 3 years ago, I feel like we've needed to hear less from Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
And this, if it's an ankle injury, he's doing jumping jacks, running off the field. His ankle's fairly healthy. But Bruce Arians didn't do himself any favors by trying to portray himself as the tough guy. He's no longer a buck. I'm not taking any questions. You're the one who enabled him to this point.
Well, Tim, you brought up his Hall of Fame. Did Antonio Brown just, exiting the field, say goodbye to his career and his Hall of Fame chances in your estimation?
Well, no, I'm not to the Hall of Fame chances. I mean, I think you have to look at what he did over the years, and he was remarkable. To his career, we thought he was done after the New England stuff, and then after some more serious things off the field, and it still hasn't been.
Next question is, what does it do to Tampa Bay's playoff chances? This is an offense that is losing weapons by the day now. That's a question for another day. We'll move on. Cincy 34, Kansas City 31. Joe Burrow to Jamar Chase right now. The most hilarious connection in the sport. I mean, the balls that Burrow throws, look at the hands on Chase, look at the legs on Chase, look at the coverage from Kansas City. The end of this game had plenty of close calls, but the 3rd and 27 is really where this game changed. And Cincinnati now winning the division. Kimberly, you've been covering the Bengals all season. Statement win for Cincy, or for KC, was it more concerning in how they could not stop Burrow to Chase?
This is a statement win for Cincy. Honestly, inject Joe Burrow into my veins. I love this QB. He's this rare blend of Aaron Rodgers' ego and Tom Brady's killer instincts. And I know he's young, but as somebody I basically live in Ohio. I only came here to do the show. I'm only in New York City just for the show. I live in Ohio.
You've been covering this team all year. Yeah.
A number of times, watching the chemistry that he has with Jamar Chase, watching his chemistry with these wide receivers, and it's not just the offense. It's not just Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins, Joe Mixon, that running game, but also give respect to that defense, because that front, Trey Hendrickson, watch that defense, because they get after QBs, and that whole team, it's great to be in Cincinnati, be a Bengals fan right now. Joe Burrow, I love this kid, but if there's one issue with this team, as somebody who's watched them, it's consistency.
Yes. You're telling me you live in Ohio and you cover this team. Are you forgetting the game against the Jets, against the Bears, against Sarah Spain? I'll bring you in here. Are Cincinnati, as the Bengals now, a Super Bowl contender?
I like that you brought me in after derisively. The Bears. I was going to bring that up, actually. I was going to say my faith in the Bengals was tested by a couple of those losses to teams like the Jets and the Bears. They are not, to me, the upper echelon of the league, but they are not a team you want to see. You're especially not a team you want to see if you're the Chiefs. You decide to do a cover 0 on a 3rd and 27 with Jamar Chase out there, who ended up with more rushing yards than Pat Mahomes had passing yards in the game, and you're still like, let's just single coverage him and see what happens. That's what I meant. It's just it's an incredible team when they're hitting. The question is, can all of those things come together? Can they do it against a team that gets enough pressure on Burrow to make that pocket so dirty that he can't make that connection over and over again? So I'm here for the Bengals. I'm not ready quite to put them in the very top of the league.
Tim Kalishaw.
Frank Clark sacked Burrow, I can't remember, on the first or second play of the game, and I thought, here we go again, because Cincinnati's offensive line has had a lot of trouble protecting Burrow. But after that, they just destroyed a Chiefs defense that for this whole winning streak that put Kansas City back on top. All we've talked about is their defense better than their offense? Are their corners, one of the best things going in the NFL? Well, those corners got abused for 266 yards by one player yesterday. And the one that I would really think Kansas City's got to look at is 3rd and 27. Just stop them there, and you're going to get the ball back and maybe win the game. And Chase got a 30-yard reception.
George Sedano.
Tony, we could talk about erratic or inconsistent all we want, but the whole AFC has been inconsistent.
Right.
If you look at it this season, the conference champion in the AFC will have 5 losses. There has never been a conference champion in NFL history that has won the Super Bowl with 5 losses as long as they've been the conference champion. So what that says is the AFC is erratic. Would it surprise me if Cincinnati represents the AFC? No, I would still pick the Chiefs though. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. And they're a team on the rise. 25-1 odds to begin the season to win that particular division. Joe Burrow, 400 yards, 4 TDs, 0 interceptions in back-to-back games. First player in NFL history to do that. And when you look at him and Chase is the easy slam dunk offensive rookie of the year. But over 1,400 yards combined this season. Only 3 players since 1970.
That's a lot of great stuff you're saying about Cincy. And they just beat Kansas City. Look at him, he's still talking. And they just beat Kansas City, but you're still taking Kansas City over them. Spade back in.
Yeah, but that's the thing is we at every single turn have underestimated the Bengals. A whole lot of people had them last in that division. And here they are winning the division. Now we're like, oh, can we see them representing the whole AFC? This is a team that has continued to outdo expectations. The question is, with the young players, with the young coach, can they do it once it's a postseason serious situation? That's left to be seen.
I think we should mention that Kansas City lost one of its tackles in warm-ups and the other one in the first quarter. They had injuries at running back. They had a lot of people out in a game that meant a lot less to them than it did to the Cincinnati
Well, they were
Bengals.
playing for the 1 seed in the AFC. You think that
The
means
1 seed. Oh, they got to go to Nashville. Oh, my gosh. Oh, they're scared of that. Oh, boy.
Yeah, exactly.
Last word, Kimberly A. Martin.
To get Henry back.
Listen, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It does not matter. Joe Burrow, the QBs, Patrick Mahomes is the standard in that division, in that conference, in that division. So I think you got to give it to the Chiefs. They've at least been in the Super Bowl the last few years. So, but Joe Burrow's on the rise.
All right, taking a break right here. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Cardinals and the Cowboys. There's some debate over where the Cardinals got lucky with some late game calls. Here's where they maybe got lucky as well. You might have to come up with a new word, a better word than lucky. The fake punt helmet catch by Jonathan Ward. That was the highlight of the week.
So great.
David Tyree is jealous.
Be back and buy or sell. You know that was David Tyree's last catch in the NFL?
Other guys help.
From college football playoff expansion. How do you explain the blowouts we get every year in the semifinals? 21 points is the average. That's exactly where we got Alabama, Cincinnati. Georgia, Michigan was 23. But that aside, we are where we thought we were. Alabama, Georgia for it all. A rematch of the conference title game from last month. George, what is a rematch after blowouts say about college football?
Tony, it says 2 things can be true at the same time. That we got the 2 best teams in there because they deserve to be the 2 best teams as we've seen it all play out. And it's also bad for college football to be so regionalized and that one conference has all the power. It puts a lot of pressure on Lincoln Riley, Mario Cristobal, the Texas schools, all these other programs to get going to try to combat the SEC.
Tim Kalishaw.
I might have bought into the idea we were going to see an Alabama-Michigan final. That's not official. I didn't say it here. I'm just saying I might have bought into that. But here's the thing. I went to the last time this happened, Alabama, LSU. LSU had 6 first downs in the championship game. This isn't going to be that. These are the 2 best teams by far. It's going to be a good game. The problem is we've seen it before.
Sarah Spain.
I think what it tells us is it's really hard to tell how good teams are if there aren't head-to-heads, common opponents. There's so many aspects of the way college football is set up that makes it difficult. And then we arrive at these semifinals that are blowouts that aren't that exciting. Now, I'm a little more interested in this title game than maybe others because I think Georgia didn't have that much to play for when they met in the conference championship. They were going to be in either way. Alabama needed to save their playoff chances. So I think this could be a different matchup when they meet this.
Okay, so when you say that we don't have head-to-heads, we have a head-to-head very recently between these 2 teams.
Yes. But in general, I'm saying there aren't enough head-to-heads and common opponents. So we come in thinking, oh, this team is number 2 or number 3. It turns out they're nowhere near the best
Sarah,
team
I know you're in
because we didn't
favor
get
of
to see them play against
expansion of the
other teams.
playoff, but the way you always get blowouts, how do you see that?
I just think that then there's more opportunities for teams to face each other in earlier rounds and to whittle down to the best. But Georgia's point is still remains. Like it ends up being the very cream of the crop is
And
so
Kimberly.
far ahead.
Look, I love this matchup because it's a revenge game for Georgia, right? But at the end of the day, this speaks to the SEC dominance. It speaks to the fact that the South is known as football country. The top players tend to come from Georgia, Florida, Louisiana, Texas. And I think all these other schools need to just follow the Ohio State model. Go get your guys in your state, own that, and then cherry pick talent from other places. Because at the end of the day, you've got to.
We have a new band word.
Oh,
we have been at the end of the day. We're in the middle of the day. We're the 5 o'clock shadow here, Kimberly Martin. You're going the wrong way. Kalishaw, you had Michigan. You had Michigan over Georgia. You're going the wrong
I thought
way.
they were going to run.
We move on. Cardinals 25, Cowboys 22. Back-to-back plays with 2 minutes left. One, Chase Edmonds ruled inbounds while no part of him was down. And he was out of bounds, which caused Mike McCarthy to have to use his last timeout. And then B, Chase Edmonds ruled down while no part of him was down, and he fumbled, which could not be reviewed because now it had no timeouts left because they just used it, and it was on the wrong side of the 2-minute warning. Tim, should Cowboys fans feel they got screwed here, or that they're still not who they thought they were?
Well, the problem is now Cowboys players have joined Cowboys fans in feeling they only get screwed. That's the only way they lose games. That's a bad call on the fumble, but it's the Cowboys' fault. They were out of timeouts. Arizona ran a smart trick play like they were going to go for it instead of kick a field goal, and the Cowboys burned a third quarter timeout. That's part of the game, too.
Spain?
Yeah, they're the most penalized team in the league. They're 3-4 against teams with winning records. Mike McCarthy still has issues with clock management. You can be mad about that one call, but what you're really mad about is how inconsistent your team is and how concerned you are heading into the
Kimberly?
postseason.
Listen, the Cowboys have a head coaching problem. We're not asking McCarthy to be Bill Belichick. We're just asking him to manage games, to put his team in the best positions. And at the end of you don't think...
Again, unbelievable. Sedano, how about you?
Tony, Cowboy fans should be worried about the fact that Dak Prescott had a yards per attempt of 4.8, the second worst of his career, and that their defense could only get 4 pressures on Kyler Murray's first 22 dropbacks in the first half. That defense not playing the way that people thought it was playing. Turnovers, more luck than it is skill, and I don't think a lot of people tend to subscribe to that theory.
Buy or sell 3. Ain't some clown show organization. Who said it? It could be about anything.
Judge.
It was said by Joe Judge. The Giants are getting rolled every week. 29-3 to the Bears? Here's a small piece of Judge's 11-minute fulmination yesterday.
I know we're a whole lot closer to where we're going.